Good morning to everyone. We are from Group 5 and today we will present Chapter 6, the Ethics of the Consumer, Production and Marketing. My name is Goh Hui Wen, Nomometry 2F5466. I will start to present the ethics and marketing. According to the American Marketing Association, marketing is defined as an organization function and a set of process for creating, communicating, and delivering value to customers, and for managing customer relationships in ways that benefit the organization and its stakeholders. The four main activities of marketing include the product, price, place, and promotion. The concept of an exchange between a seller and a buyer is central to the market economy and is the core idea behind marketing. Marketing involves all aspects of creating a product or service and bringing it to market, where an exchange can take place. Therefore, marketing ethics examine the responsible associated with bringing a product to market, promoting it to buyers, and exchange it with them. Each of the four PM lists some important ethical questions. For example, product. Who is responsible for harm caused by a product? Are there some products that should not be produced or do consumer demand decide or production question? Next, for price. Should the ability to pay be a factor in setting the price? Do all customers deserve the same price or can producer discriminate in favor of or against some consumer? Third is promotion. Are deceptive or misleading advertisement ethical? What ethical constructs should be placed on sales promotion? Last is place. Is the information gathered in market research the property of the business that conduct the research? What privacy protection should be offered for marketing data? Next is the ethical issue in marketing. The simple model of a single agreed exchange between two individuals, for example, a buyer paying money to seller to get product, is a useful way to introduce an ethical framework for marketing ethics. However, this exchange is only prima facie, which means at first imprison ethical, because like all agreement, certain conditions like autonomy of the two parties and mutual benefit must be met before we can conclude that the exchange is truly done in an ethical manner. Therefore, we will need to establish that the agreement results from an informal and voluntary consent, which was not from deception or coercion involved. When these conditions are violated, autonomy is not respected and mutual benefit is not attended. Even when such conditions are met, other values might override the freedom of individuals to contract for mutual benefit purposes. For example, the freedom of drug dealers to pursue mutual agreeable and is overridden by society's concern to maintain law and order. Next is the marketing. It's not always easy to determine if someone is being trained with respect in marketing situation. A person is trained with respect when first is the person must freely consent to the transaction. When the more consumers need a product, the less free they are to choose and the more protection they deserve within the marketplace. For example, monopoly business. Next is when practices aim at vulnerable population with question of voluntariness. For example, product promote to kids during cartoon time. Second is consent must be not only voluntary but also informal. The complete of many consumer products and services can mean that consumers may not fully understand what they are purchasing. So the info must be known to buyers. Many purchasers do not result in actual benefit due to impulse buying or unsafe products, such as sales discount. Third, decided if other values are affected. Primary social value of fairness, justice, health, and safety are some of the values that can jeopardized by some marketing practices. For example, rich people will get better deals and discounts for lower than poor people, which has variation of equal treatment like. In summary, three issues in mind when approaching any ethical issue in marketing. First is the right-based ethical transition. We'll ask to what degree the participant has respected as free and autonomous agent rather than trained simply has meant to the end of making a sales. Second is the utilitarian transaction where want to know the degree to which the transaction provide actual has opposite to mere apparent benefit, positive net benefit for both. Thus, in every ethical transaction will also wonder what other value may be affected by the exchange. Responsibility for product safety and liability. In general, business has an ethical responsibility to design, manufacture, and promote its product in ways that avoid causing harm to consumers. For example, not to deceptive advertising, risky and dangerous products, not honoring of contract, and so on. Responsibility has several meanings such as identify as the cause of something, immovable accountability, and immovable assigning fraud or liability for something. For example, situations such as an automobile crash, a careless driver will be identified as the cause of the accident and held accountable because he or she was at fault. Both raw and ethnic rely on this when evaluating cases in which product or service cause harm in the marketplace. The legal drafting of strict liability is ethically controversial extremely because it holds a business accountable for paying demands whether or not it was at fault. For example, in a strict liability case, no matter how careful the business is in its product or service, if harm results from you, the business is liable. Ethical debate on product liability. Product liability is the area of law in which manufacturer, distributor, supplier, lecturer, and others who make product available to the public are held responsible for the injuries of those product costs. The U.S. business community is a strong critic of much of the legal standard of product liability. Due to liability standard and the liability insurance costs in which they have resulted, has imposed significant costs on contemporary business. Businesses believe that the standard is especially unfair to businesses because it holds business responsible for harm that were not the result of business negligence. Next is the further of the strict product liability standard, which including juries who decided in favor of injured consumers often repay with two major claims. First is by holding business strictly liable for any harm their product cause. Society creates a strong incentive for businesses to product safety goods and service. Second is given that someone has to be accountable for the cost of injuries. Holding business liable allocates the cost to the party best able to bear the financial burden. Standard related to product safety. First is cover atom above. The standard of cover atom or let the buyer beware understand marketing on a simple model of a contractual exchange between a buyer and a seller. This perspective assumes that every purchase involves the informed consent of the buyer and therefore is assumed to be ethically legitimate. Buyers have the responsibility to look out for their own interests and protect their own safety when buying a product. From this perspective, business has only the responsibility to provide a goods or service at an agreed upon price. Second is the concept of increased warranty of merchant's ability. Hold that in selling a product, a business implicated offers assurance that the product is reasonable, suitable for its purpose even without a waiver or written promise of contract. The law holds that business has a duty to ensure that its product will accomplish their purpose. For example, food that looks fresh but has hidden defects will warrant the increased guarantee of merchant ability. That's all for me. I will pass to the next presenter. Thanks.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Hazika Haris binti Muhammad Noor. With metric number 286804, will explain about consumer protection. Consumer protection in management ethics refers to the ethical responsibility of businesses and organizations to safeguard the rights, interests, and well-being of consumers in their products, services, and interactions. It involves a set of principles and practices aimed at ensuring fair, transparent, and honest dealings with consumers. Consumer protection is the issue of people being injured when using the things which they purchase. Are they protected? Who is responsible for ensuring good products in the market for injuries? So I will explain the theories to answer these questions, which are market approach and contract theory. The first one is market approach. In the market approach to consumer protection, consumer safety is seen as a good that is most efficiently provided through the mechanism of the free market, whereby sellers must respond to consumer demands. If consumers want products to be safer, they will indicate this preference in markets by willingly paying more for safer products and showing a preference for manufacturer of safe products, while turning down the goods of manufacturers of unsafe products. So government cannot force company to produce safer products. In the realm of consumer protection, the market approach involves assessing and ensuring fair and competitive market conditions that benefit consumers. It focuses on creating an environment where consumers have access to a variety of choices, transparent information, and fair pricing through market forces and competition. While the market approach has various advantages in promoting competition and consumer choice, it is not without its limitations and potential problems. So here are some issues associated with relying solely on the market approach. The first problem is buyers do not have adequate information when products are complex and information is costly and hard to find. Particularly in markets with complex products or services, consumers may be vulnerable to manipulation and exploitation. This is especially true when dealing with financial products, healthcare services, or industries where there is a power imbalance between consumers and businesses. The second one is buyers are often not rational about product risks or probabilities and are often inconsistent, and also many consumer markets are monopolies or oligopolies. No choice but to buy bad products. The contract view of a business firm's duties to consumers is a perspective that emphasizes the relationship between the business and its consumers as a series of contractual agreements and obligations. According to this view, the interactions between businesses and consumers are primarily governed by the terms and conditions agreed upon in various forms, such as purchase agreements, warranties, and implied or explicit contracts. When a consumer buys a product, the consumer voluntarily enters into a sales contract with the business firm. The firm freely and knowingly agrees to give the consumer a product with certain characteristics, and the consumer in turn freely and knowingly agrees to pay a certain amount of money to the firm for the product. So, the firm then has a duty to provide a product with those characteristics, and the consumer has a correlative right to get a product with those characteristics. The contract theory of the business firm's duties to its customers rests on the view that the contract is a free agreement that imposes on the parties the basic duty of complying with the terms of agreement. The contractual theory claims that a business has four main moral duties. So, the first moral duty is the duty to comply to terms of contract. The duty to provide customers with a product that lives up to those claims that the firm expressly made about the product, which led the customers to enter the contract freely and which form the customers' understanding concerning what they are agreeing to buy. So, Stuyvesant defined product quality expressly or implied claims as the degree to which product performance meets predetermined expectations with respect to. The first one is reliability, the probability that a product will function as the consumer is led to expect that it will function. The next one is service life, the period of time during which the product will function as effectively as the consumer is led to expect it to function. The third one is maintainability. It is to which the product can be repaired and kept in operating condition. Product safety also refers to the degree of risk associated with using a product, reasonable and acceptable risk. The second one is the duty of disclosure. This implies that a seller who intends to enter a contract with a customer has a duty to disclose exactly what the consumer is buying and what the terms of the sale are. At minimum, this means that the seller has a duty to inform the buyer of any characteristics of the product that could affect the customer's decision to purchase the product. For example, the weaknesses of the product. The third one is the duty not to misrepresent. It renders the freedom of choice impossible. The duty not to misrepresent is a foundational ethical obligation within contractual relationships and broader business interactions. It encompasses the responsibility of parties involved in a transaction or agreement to refrain from providing false, deceptive, or misleading information. This duty not to misrepresent involves several key aspects. The first one is truthfulness and accuracy. Parties must provide information that is truthful, accurate, and complete to the best of their knowledge. This applies to verbal statements, written documents, advertisements, or any form of communication related to the transaction. Let's say the second hand, the company say it's new, so it is false. By upholding the duty not to misrepresent, parties involved in business transactions or contractual agreements demonstrate integrity, respect for the other party, and a commitment to fair and honest dealings. This duty is essential for maintaining trust, preserving the integrity of business relationships, and promoting a fair marketplace for consumers. The last one is duty not to coerce. The duty not to coerce is a fundamental ethical obligation that prohibits using threats, force, or undue pressure to influence or compel another party to act against their will or best interest. It applies to various contexts, including business transactions, negotiations, contracts, and interpersonal interactions. This duty aims to uphold autonomy, respect, and fairness in relationships. For example, people act irrationally when under the influence of fear or emotional stress. Doctors using fear of patients to agree to purchase medical checkup package. However, there are problems with the contractual theory. Critics say that the theory unrealistically assumes that manufacturers make direct agreements with consumers. This is not true. What about in between wholesalers and retailers? But supporters say that it is an indirect agreement through advertisements. Defect product leading to accident. Can buyers sue manufacturer? A second objection to the contract theory focuses on the fact that a contract is a two-edged sword. If a consumer can freely agree to buy a product with certain quality, the consumer can also freely agree to buy a product without those quality. That is, freedom of contract allows a manufacturer to be released from contractual obligation by explicitly disclaiming that the product is reliable, serviceable, safe, and others. Many manufacturers fix such disclaimers on the products. Unit trust parking lot. It assumes seller and buyer meets as equals. The conclusion is, while the contractual theory provides a framework for understanding legal obligations and formal agreements in business relationships, it is essential to supplement with ethical considerations, fairness, and a broader understanding of the complexities inherent in real-world business interactions. Integrating ethical principles alongside contractual obligations can lead to more comprehensive and morally sound decision-making in business context.
Good well, doctor. My name is Taming Hui. My metric number is 2866528. I will continue the dual-case theory. The dual-case theory of the manufacturer duty to consumer is based on the idea that consumer and seller do not meet as equal, and that the consumer interests are particularly vulnerable to being harmed by the manufacturer who has knowledge and expertise that the consumer lack. And because of the advantage, the manufacturer have a duty to take the special care to ensure that the consumer interests are not harmed by the product and offered to them. Even if the manufacturers explicitly disclaim such a responsibility and buyer agree to the disclaimer, but also have the doctrine of covered approach is replaced by the doctrine of covered vendors, which is let seller take care. The judgment that individual producers have a duty not to harm or injure vulnerable party is solely based on the several ethical perspectives, such as the utilitarian and Kant's theory. According to dual-case theory, they have three aspects or three types of producer responsibility should involve. The first is the design. The design means the product have using the good material and also have the safety feature. And with the design
with a good designing, with escape or free from any dangerous. And the second is the production. The production is mean the product must have the production management control in the manufacturing process to eliminate the defective item and also to identify the weakness. It is important to have adapted quality control in the production. And the third is the informations. The information is mean the manufacturer should fix the label, the notice, the instruction on the product that will warn the user of all the dangers in using or misusing product. But they have some problem with the dual-K theory. The problem is that it's not clear the method to determine when one has exercised enough dual-K. And second is it assumes that the manufacturer can discover the risk of defect of product before the consumer use it. Sometimes the defects are located years after the usage, such as the car, the Toyota car, the Asia. And the third is it assumes that the manufacturer should be the one who make it to make the important decisions for the consumer, at least with the aspect to the level of risk that are proper for consumer to bear. So this equation should consumer to given choice to decide if they want to pay the extra for the risk detection. Next is the social cost view of the manufacturer duty. The view that manufacturers to pay the cost of any injury sustained through any defect in the product, even when the manufacturer exercise all the dual-K in the design and the manufacturer of product. It has taken all the reasonable precaution to warn user or every foreseen dangerous. It extends beyond contractual relationship and dual-K. A form of the basis of legal doctrine of strict liability. It holds that the manufacturers must pay all the costs of injuries resulting from product defect regardless of fault. But there are some problems with the social cost because it unfair. Due to it violated compensatory justice, manufacturer cannot pay for injuries that they could neither foresee or prevent. And second, criticism attack the assumption that passing the cost of all injuries on the product to the manufacturers will reduce the number of accidents. However, this may lead to more carelessness. And when the accident happens, consumer can sue the company. Insurance company pay more and the premium was increased and company will not be able to get the insurance protection. And then the company cannot pay the compensations and then the company will bankrupt and close the business. And this will lead to the affect the economy of country and may lead some work and employers lost their job. And then I will pass to the next presenter. Thank you.
Now, I would like to present about characteristics of advertising. A public communication aimed at a large social group intend to induce members of this audience to buy the seller's product. There are two types of influence where which is ethically and unethically. Ethically is include persuading, asking, informing, and advising. Unethically is include threats, coercion, deception, manipulation, and lying. Unfortunately, all too often sales and advertising participants employ deceptive or manipulative means of influence are aimed at audiences that are susceptible to manipulate or deception. Example, kids that are not mature enough to think and people who are knowledgeable. To manipulate something is to guide or direct its behavior. Manipulation need not involve total control, and in fact, it more likely suggests a process of subtle direction or management. You can manipulate someone by lying, instill fear, anxiety on consumers. The right-based traditional in ethical world will have the strongest objective to manipulation. Manipulation treats a person as a means to an end, as an object to be used rather than as an autonomous person in his or her own right. The utilitarian tradition offers a more conditional critique or manipulation, depends on the consequences. General guideline for marketing practice. Market practice research that seek to discover with consumers might have interest to purchase a product are ethically legal. However, marketing practice that seek to identify population that can be easily influenced and manipulated on the other hand are not. Sales and marketing that appear to fear anxiety or other non-rational motivations are ethically improper. Ethical issue in advertising. The ethical defense of advertising is that it provides information for market exchange and therefore contribute to market efficiency and to overall happiness. Provide information necessary for autonomous individual to make informed choice. Note that each of these rationale provides an ethical justification only if the information is true and accurate. Requirement of deceptive advertising. Deception in the act or practice or lying, misleading, or otherwise hiding or destroying the truth. Deception violates consumers' right to choose for themselves, and it generates a public distrust of advertising that dismiss the utility of this form and even other form of communication. The three requirements of deception. First is an author who unethical intent to make the audience believe what he or she know is false by means or an intentional act or utterance. Media and intermediaries who communicate the false message of the advertisement. An audience who is unvaluable to the deceptive and who lacks the capacity to recognize the deceptive nature of the advertisement. That's all for my part. Thank you, Doctor.
So let's us move to the privacy part. We have two general understanding of privacy. For the first meaning, it is ideal but not really practical in a workplace setting because in workplace it requires a constant interaction and we can't avoid that. So instead of that, in terms of privacy, we focus more on controlling personal information as it offers a more practical and adaptable way to protect privacy in the digital age. And the final point highlights the increased importance of privacy in the digital age, where the use of computers and internet has significantly expanded the amount of personal information collected and shared. So this has increased the awareness and has led to a calls for stronger protection of privacy rights. The right to privacy is like a key part of our freedom. It is based on the idea that each person can decide things for themselves and follow their own path in life. So autonomy, which means being able to govern ourselves without too much interference, is at the heart of this. To make sure everyone gets a fair deal with privacy, there is a rule that we call a mutual respect. If we want others to respect our privacy and let us to make our own choices, we also have to do the same for them. And this idea is called reciprocal obligation. Now, when we bring this into the workplace, it means that both employers and employees have certain responsibilities, whereby employees need to respect the goals and property of a company, and in return, the company also have to respect the rights of the employees, including their right to privacy. It is like a give and take to make sure that everyone is treated fairly. Individual privacy is like a super important foundation for some really basic and crucial things that we all agree on. So these are called hypernorms, and they include stuff like freedom of speech, informed consent, and the right to move around freely. Now, if we don't keep our personal information private, it is like we are weakening this foundation. And if privacy falls, it might become tough to keep our personal freedom and independence intact. Also, consider our information as our own little treasure. Property rights, which
decide who gets to own, control, and things like houses and ideas also cover our personal information. So if we don't protect this right, it is like letting someone else to take charge of our special belongings. And so, by respecting privacy, we are making sure that everyone's personal treasure stays safe and sound. In conclusion, the right to privacy is like a shield that helps us to keep our personal dignity intact. It allows us to control our own information, decide what to share, and with whom we are going to share. So this is crucial for building good relationships, whether they are personal or professional. Privacy also acts as a safety net. It protects us from unwanted judgment or interference, so we can live our life without the way we want without unnecessary trouble. So that concludes our presentation. Thank you for your time.